My next album, To Nurture the Soul, was a bit of a pivot, but it was also somewhat of a return to form. As I mentioned before, I really got my start into music appreciation and my love of music as a whole from pop music, R&B music, gospel music. So when it came time for me to work on To Nurture the Soul, I wanted to do something different to celebrate my birthday. I was turning 25. I didn't want to just make another traditional hip hop album or anything like that. I wanted to kind of explore my artistry a little bit. And it makes me think back to when my dad had got me a Zune. I don't know if you remember Zunes, but I had this brown Zune that my dad got me, and it was just absolutely loaded with music. And I don't even remember who put the music on there, or if somebody was selling it. My dad just got it for me because I had started liking music as a kid more. But I remember having that Zune and sitting in his truck, waiting for him to come out of his job sometimes. And I think around this time I was probably still like late elementary to early middle school age. I definitely wasn't a high schooler. Um, and it was full of Michael Jackson songs, and it was full of old R&B, and I just would, just listen song after song after song, and I just soaked in as much as I could. And for To Nurture the Soul, I kind of wanted to do something like that. So that's where that color scheme comes from. So it was the color scheme of the Zune that I had back in the day, like that brownish, greenish, rustic color. And in terms of songs, I've always said, Michael Jackson was a big inspiration in terms of artistry, not so much song style, because obviously I'm a rapper, um, but overall artistry and just the way that I would see clips and hear things from documentaries about how he put songs together and things like that. Like obviously I play instruments as well, so some people would argue like, oh, well, why wasn't it, more Prince that inspired that? Because I also play instruments and can write songs and, you know, still have some memory of my classical training with music. Um, but it was always Michael that I gravitated to in terms of the way that ideas were created. He might beatbox an idea and be able to fully communicate that into fruition. So yeah, To Nurture the Soul, it was one of those where I was just like, man, I just want to do something for me. I don't really care how successful it is. Like I said, this was around that time where I was making that real strong effort into just being a happier individual and taking less interest in the commercial standings of things and more in my artistic fulfillment. So I remember sitting in my room in the studio when I was working on these songs and I was writing things out, and I was like, man, I really want things to sound authentic. Um, so I did not do a whole lot of tuning or a whole lot of pitch correction or anything. I wanted it to be like, man, I really got to do my best to try and sing these properly. So I had to write the songs out in a way where I knew I could, not that I'm a fantastic singer or anything, but do my best when it came to my voice in the range that my voice had. I didn't want to do a whole lot that, you know, would strain my voice or you could hear that I was struggling to hit notes and stuff like that. So I leaned into that. I leaned heavier into the poetic side of things, like a lot of various imagery in my lyrics where like whispers, um and how I'm discussing, like, look outside to see if I can hear the person who's been calling my name. And obviously that could be taken literally. Um but it was also about like the whispers where I was fearing death. It was the whispers of societal pressure, things like that. So a lot of illusion and a lot of imagery that went into the lyrics for this one. Even something like Hot, Can't Cool Down, that one was made more as an homage to, my dad really loves Shake Your Body Down to the Ground by the Jackson 5. And I just felt like it was like a nice little, tribute to my dad enjoying that song by making something in that same vein. But overall, that project is still one very close to my heart. And it's one of my first albums where I think I cried listening back to it. And Silver Jubilee is the one where I cried while recording it. I think when I did my final listens to it, I believe I was at, where was I? I think I was at Party City for some reason. I don't really recall. Um, Maybe I think I was in the passenger seat. So I think my mom had went to Party City and I just rode with her because sometimes, I just like to ride with my mom if she's going out so she's not in town by herself in case anything crazy happens. But I remember listening to it and, definitely let the tears fall on that one because it was like there was a point in time where I didn't think that I would see 25 um, without going into too much detail on that. There were moments in life where I was just like, I probably won't even see that age, you know? So I think it just touched on a nerve and brought those emotions out of me when I finally wrote that song. And it's a twofold song because it also can be seen as like an anniversary song to people celebrating their 25th anniversary. But I also wove in a few storylines, not really storylines, but a few moments of personal influence where it's me being grateful that I'm still here after 25 years. So again, like I said, always will hold a very special place in my heart for that album. Like you can listen to the songs and probably even pinpoint which Michael Jackson songs inspired which. But I would say Silver Jubilee was one like straight from the heart with that one. I think I left in some of the original background vocals from Tone Jones because they just kind of they captured that energy that I was trying to go for the outro of the song. But I also did a little bit of um additional production on that one, and I played some extra keys on there in the outro, and it's real subtle. I know it's there. Like if you listen, you can hear that it's there. But yeah, it's just I don't have anything negative to say about that project, and really going forward, I feel like I don't really have much negative to say about my projects because I think with changing my mindset, um, now going forward, all of these projects are like diary entries almost, where it's just like, this is what I was experiencing at this time. This is what was going on in the world at this time. And I don't want to be overly critical of the place that I was in. So I will play a song from To Nurture the Soul. Before I play it, this is To Nurture the Soul is the version of Seven. If you remember when I talked about Seven, how it was one of my least favorites, To Nurture the Soul is basically what I would have loved for Seven to be. And it's 7 songs. I didn't want this project to overstay its welcome. It was just like, I'm gonna get in, get out, give some good songs, express myself, and call it a day with this one. But it brings me back to the conversations of how a lot of the experimental stuff that I did in the past that I didn't like, once my skill level increased and my understanding increased, I was able to redo a lot of those things in ways that were much more complete, in ways that I was much more receptive of. So that's just a good example of same idea, so to speak. Like no To Nurture the Soul wasn't about the seven deadly sins, but if you want to play the connecting tissue game, you look at seven and it's seven deadly sins, and then you look at To Nurture the Soul and it's the same thing in terms of biblical reference. I am now doing my best to nurture my soul in regards to what I was doing in the past. And I've never been, one to do anything crazy, but in terms of the nurture and the care and speaking life and abundance into myself, that's what To Nurture the Soul was. And then you see how much more positively it was received and how much more love and effort was put into that project compared to Seven, where my headspace was not that great and I was only focusing on the negative of a situation. So I think both are important. The duality of life, obviously, I think both are very important, and one doesn't exist without the other. So To Nurture the Soul never gets made if I hadn't made Seven and felt the way about it that I did. So I will play a song from To Nurture the Soul, and after that go into its partner project, because I was still very heavy into doing double disc projects, but I was being more mindful about how I was doing it, and I was taking effort and care into separating projects and being mindful about what I was trying to push forward for each specific project. So here's a song from To Nurture the Soul.
I've been too responsible and I need some time for myself. I know they see the pain I'm in, but I can't expect their help. Working slave away, but there's a better use of my time. You've been trying to rope me in, I don't wanna deal with your crimes. Still don't know what I'm after. My next chapter's off the page. Rage consume me, it flow through me. I switch paths and now I'm changed into a master of disaster. Things fail but I stand my ground. Looks deceiving with no meaning, so I don't want you around.
You're dangerous, yeah, you're so dangerous. I guess it's clear that I ain't thinking this through. Because you're dangerous, and I just don't know why. But there's a reason that I'm running from you.
I lost years and lost life because I ain't slowed down. Tried my best, but ain't rest. So I gave up chasing crowns. I spent days alone, and that was my retreat. I moved in silence, had to catch up on my peace. Pressure busts pipes and kills hype, so I just do my own thing. I'm a rapper with no Casper. Sometimes I wanna sing. I let words get to me. I'll admit they made me frown. Found what I keep living for, so ain't no keeping me down.
Because you're dangerous, yeah, you're so dangerous. I guess it's clear that I ain't thinking this through. Because you're dangerous, and I just don't know why. But there's a reason that I'm running from you. Running away. Because you're dangerous, yeah, you're so dangerous. I guess it's clear that I ain't thinking this through. Because you're dangerous, and I just don't know why. But there's a reason that I'm running from you.
Where did my childhood go? Years unknown. Mom lost a few to the postpartum. Time is deadly. Responsibility imposed on souls is just like me. Questions, lectures about my decisions. They cause fissures as I describe my mission. My intentions always pure. If I speak, then I'm always sure. Cam, don't you wanna have your own fam? True, for now, I just wanna jam. I'm in no rush to submit to Uncle Sam. You the pearl inside my clam. An irritant, don't listen to words I speak. Impose your views and don't care about me. So I don't plan to let my guard down quick. Happiness is the thing I'll pick.
Because you're dangerous, yeah, you're so dangerous. I guess it's clear that I ain't thinking this through. Because you're dangerous, and I just don't know why. But there's a reason that I'm running from you. Running away. Because you're dangerous, yeah, you're so dangerous. So dangerous. I guess it's clear that I ain't thinking this through. Because you're dangerous, and I just
So while both of these projects were experimental in the way that they were not just traditional hip hop projects, Beautiful Disaster was the more experimental one between To Nurture the Soul and, the less experimental one between To Nurture the Soul and A Beautiful Disaster. There was much more rapping, much more hip hop influence on A Beautiful Disaster, but it was still um, dabbling in some pop and R&B influence. So I released both of these projects on the same day. To Nurture the Soul came out and A Beautiful Disaster came out same day. But the big album was To Nurture the Soul. A Beautiful Disaster was essentially all the songs that didn't make To Nurture the Soul. And I've said it before, I'll probably say it again. I don't like just hoarding my songs and not sharing them. So I decided, how am I going to release this? I don't want to release it as part of this album. It's something completely separate. So I think my dad had gotten me an iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil around this time, and I took to um, abstract painting on there, digital abstract painting. I've never been a good drawer or artist in terms of painting and, like realism and stuff, but abstract has always been something that I could do. Like I could kind of grasp the concept of a bit more. So I start painting, and I've always had this thing where when I listen to music or when I listen to people talk, sounds in general, I can see the colors of the sounds that I'm hearing in the moment. And I wanted that to be represented with A Beautiful Disaster. So the title was supposed to be kind of, poetic and like, oh, there's beauty in everything, right? So it's a beautiful disaster. Yes, it's a disaster. It doesn't, mesh well. It doesn't look good. It's abstract, whatever, but there's still beauty in it, right? And I also did a companion project with that, with the features, because around this time I was kind of, getting off of my feature train. I had never done features a whole lot, but I was like, man, for my albums, I want to make sure I kind of condense it down. And, you know, I'm very mindful about who I allow to be on my projects going forward. So for the companion project to A Beautiful Disaster, that was called An Ugly Success. So yeah, there's success, but then there's also the ugliness of succeeding at times, right? So it was three projects released all on the same day: To Nurture the Soul, the big album to celebrate my 25th birthday, A Beautiful Disaster, the companion project, and then An Ugly Success, which was, I released it separately as an EP because it had features, but all three of those things released on the same day. An Ugly Success had features from Rhea, Trail Music, YNSJD, Diero Quinson, and Pop Casso. It was three songs and five people featured across the three songs. Great songs. Still some of my favorite songs to this day. Like looking back, there's not a whole lot of songs from Bloom forward that I don't go back and listen to and think really highly of. Um, on the physical copies of A Beautiful Disaster, An Ugly Success is a part of that physical CD. Um, Same for To Nurture the Soul. There was a physical CD. Um, to Nurture the Soul and A Beautiful Disaster, those are without a doubt my best selling physical CDs. I've had, like I mentioned, that I have some physical copies of a few of my albums, not all of them, but a good few. And without a shadow of a doubt, up to this point, To Nurture the Soul and A Beautiful Disaster was definitely the best selling. Because if you bought To Nurture the Soul, you got A Beautiful Disaster. And if you bought A Beautiful Disaster, you got To Nurture the Soul. So some people would spend $20 for one CD because they knew they were getting both, and it was just kind of like, oh man, no, I want to pay for both. Um, so it was a really great time for me creatively. Um, One of the funnier moments for A Beautiful Disaster is that my friend Meredith Bull, um, you've probably seen her. If you aren't familiar with the name, you've probably seen um, the young lady with vibrant pink hair that made various cat related musical TikTok videos. You've probably seen her from that if you don't know her from anything else. She messaged me and was just like, "How dare you release a song called Pixie Dust and not call me?" And I wasn't even thinking about it in the time, but yes, that makes 100% sense because Meredith is the fairy queen. Um, so hindsight, yeah, I probably should have called her as soon as I had the idea for doing a song called Pixie Dust. Um, Considering she does all the fairy themed stuff as well. I'm pretty sure she was even in one of the Tinkerbell movies. So yeah, I probably should have called her for that one. But I was zoned in and I was just like, oh man, time for me to, get these songs out. I'm feeling good about them. I'm feeling confident. Let's just keep the ball rolling. So yeah, I look back on, like I said, I had painted the covers for A Beautiful Disaster and An Ugly Success. Now I had always made my own cover arts, with the exception of a couple. Um, I had always either taken the photo with my phone or my camera and photoshopped it to what I needed it to be, or I made some logos and used the logos as the cover art, whatever it may be. 98, 99% of my covers I created. But To Nurture the Soul was actually done by The Mind. He's a fantastic artist. He's done a lot of stuff with Logic and, Rat Pack. So you've probably seen some of his artwork somewhere, even if you didn't realize it was him. Um, and then, like I mentioned, for Seven, Jessica Farmer, she did that one. But yeah, there's just such fond memories of working on To Nurture the Soul and A Beautiful Disaster. And I remember the studio sessions for those were so different because the studio sessions for To Nurture the Soul, I was very I was very serious. I was very locked in. I was like, I gotta do these songs justice. I really want to put my best foot forward. And I remember I was over here, bright and early, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I would work for hours and hours and hours getting those songs done well. And then for A Beautiful Disaster and An Ugly Success, on the flip side, that was more of a situation where it was like, well, I got a few minutes. I'll, work on one of these additional songs. So the seriousness of it was a little bit different, and not to the point where I was like slacking off and I wasn't trying to do a good job with A Beautiful Disaster, but I didn't feel the pressure with A Beautiful Disaster because I was like, man, I know I can rap. I know I can do that, but this is a whole different type of singing that I haven't, explored too much. And I really got to do my best. There is actually a song that I cut from To Nurture the Soul, and it just never went anywhere. And that's very rare for me to genuinely just cut a song and delete it and say, no, I didn't do a good job on this. I'm deleting it. There's nothing for me to do here. And I'm pretty sure I just gave that beat away. It was a Tone Jones beat. And I had already kind of done the hook idea, but I just gave that song away. So I don't know if it'll ever come out because I was like, hey, I wrote a hook. My voice is not, what is needed to do this properly. Maybe you can sing it. You're a much better singer than I am. So allow me to play a song from A Beautiful Disaster. I'll play Pixie Dust. Shout out to Meredith. I'll play Pixie Dust. And I'll also play a song from An Ugly Success.
Check it out one time.
Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us, faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in no rush. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand.
Yeah, if I bottled up my feelings, y'all be starved. Driving the lane that I carved. They say not to drink and drive. No way that I'll leave the bars. I'm reaching out to the stars. I'm looking for Neverland. I know that the journey's far, but as long as I stand next to my friend Tink, not the story you think. This is a blink and you'll miss out on truly finding your link. Was on the verge of dying. Zelda brought me back from the brink. You'll never fly if you think that you'll sink. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Look, faith in my actions, I moved alone without a faction. Attracting masses without the help of the master classes. Just in my room, trial and error proved to work the fastest. Not monetarily, can't even claim this on my taxes. Playing some matches while trying to start a fire. I knew I could reach higher if I focused on desires. All of the doubts still present for role. I locked my ego down, I guess he finally out on parole. I'm not an actor, so I never tried to pick a role. It's Cam in and out of every single flow. The average Joe to have you thinking this is magical. But pressure hit, so I started my sabbatical. If Peter Pan to the left, he would've saw the pain. The saying's true, cause this year has only been a game. I got serious, so ain't no time for playing games. But I guess the moment came.
All you need is faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. Wanna fly, wanna fly, all you need is fly. 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 Trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. If you wanna fly with us. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Take my hand, girl, we ain't in a rush. The person that I see in the mirror is looking unfamiliar to me. I wish the future could have been clearer. I'm hating who I've turned out to be. Yeah. The real is back for real this time. Lost sight of my goals and had a slow decline. I had to go refine. They said I'm in my prime. Hindsight 2020 still sprint off the line. But I feel like I'm running in place. Became the type of man that always try to run from mistakes. I gotta take responsibility, my will won't break. Can't align with fakes, pre-design my fate. Don't use all your help, chasing wealth. Don't waste all your time on yourself. Don't spend all your days on the grind. To get your best, you need a little time for you. I hope that all your dreams come true. Your cup runneth over and your life feels new. The real is back, I know I never left. I had to fight a battle with myself. The person that I see in the mirror is looking unfamiliar to me. I wish the future could have been clearer. I'm hating who I've turned out to be.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I don't recognize anything I see now. 2008 up to present, major change, wow. I don't know when the devil came to play, getting lost in my brain. Now it's funny that I think how it happened so quickly. Blowing all my money just for fun, now who's with me? And all the broken promises, they add up to 50. There's probably more, but the way that I've been moving ain't pretty. See, I just put myself first, self-worth, it seems to be important, but myself hurts. I'm cursed with seemingly ignoring all the signs that I'm given. I am just surviving, not a whole lot of living. So let me switch the rhythm. There's one thing that I knew, at least I said I did. Look, what happened to that group of kids? See, I just need a second, get it all back together. Said I'll make it back to you, and I promise that I'll be better.
The person that I see in the mirror is looking unfamiliar to me. I wish the future could have been clearer. I'm hating who I've turned out to be.
If I'm being honest, I cannot forgive you. It hurt me, I'm running. I'm sick in my stomach. You was enraged. You act like it's nothing. Not acting your age. Our friendship had plummeted. You was my brother. You out of line. You knew my mother. We chilled out the time. Now I gotta suffer with you on my mind. Thought about texting, but rather write lines. Why I gotta hate myself? Wishing I could go back. Sign a different contract. Meet a different contact. Pain I felt. You don't feel the same. Not about that. I know where your heart at, but see, I really had to grow. New stage, no longer trapping in the smoke. New snakes, new grass, gotta stay afloat. I don't ever wanna turn on my loved ones.
The person that I see in the mirror is looking unfamiliar to me. I wish the future could have been clearer. I'm hating who I've turned out to be. The person that I see in the mirror that I'm seeing is looking unfamiliar to me. I wish the future could have been clearer. Wish it could have been. I'm hating who I've turned out to be.